Gilligan. She's Ginger. I'm the professor. No, wait a minute. She's Marianne. Liz is Ginger. Anyways, welcome to Vikings Report with Drew and Ted. Drew, how are you?
Vikings Report. Welcome, everybody. Episode 7.
How you been, man? Doing good?
Doing good. After that game yesterday. You got a game yesterday, huh? Big Super Bowl again.
Super Bowl. Yeah, that was a good game. Tootsis, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, but I really need to ask you guys a question.
What's that?
What's that?
Is it just me, or is Terrell Davis' head way too big for that body?
What?
It looks like a planet orbiting the sun. My God.
TD, what happened to your dome, brother?
Barry Bonds' head isn't that big now, is it?
Look at the size of that boy's head. Shh. I'm not kidding. It's like an orange on a toothpick.
Jiminy. That's huge.
I forgot. I used to give the show a better intro than that. I'll intro Gilligan again. So 98 episodes, Ted, and only 3 seasons.
Really?
That's 30 plus episodes. They didn't screw around back then. They got all hocked up on Mountain Dew and Cross Tops, and they cut like 10 episodes a day, man.
Let me ask you, Team Ginger or Team Marianne?
Team both.
No, you got to pick one.
Oh, both, man.
No, you can't. You got to pick one. Ginger or Marianne?
Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne. Ginger would be too high maintenance, I think.
Toots is then Marianne.
Oh, fair. Okay, that's fair. That's a very fair.
How about you?
Team Marianne. I think Ginger, or we should include Team Ginger, Team Marianne, or Team Mrs. Howell, because there are freaks out there. So whatever.
You know, when we were younger and everybody's sitting around watching that show, that was a big show at our house, by the way. When everybody would laugh and do stuff, when Ginger walked in, got quiet. Always got quiet when Ginger was on the screen. Everybody was like, that's in the Drew Hall of Fame for shows, man.
Yeah. When you came home from school, you had like a bunch of shows from like 3:30 to 6 until the news came on or whatever. And Gilligan's Island was one of those shows. And like Gilligan's Island was like the first show as a kid that I started not taking at face value. I started asking questions like, how can they be on a stranded, deserted island and never get off? How come their clothes never get beat up? They're like brand new clothes every week. That was the first show I started asking like why questions, where I started kind of being not like this dumb little moronic kid all the time.
Like everyone else, you were born into bondage. Born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch.
Classic show, though.
It's good. Good show. Our jersey tonight. Who do we got tonight, Drew?
We got Sir Francis of Bloomington, the great Fran Tarkenton, the greatest player ever to play for this franchise. Certainly the greatest quarterback. Just turned 81 years young.
Wow.
We all remember what Fran meant to this team growing up, all the games he pulled out, the scrambling ability, which he put on the map. I have many great fond memories of Fran Tarkenton on the playing field, pulling many games out. How about you?
Yeah. He was, like you said, best quarterback we ever had. Him, Chuck Foreman, that offense in the mid 1970s, at times it just felt unstoppable.
Was unstoppable.
I mean, they just until whatever reason they got to the Super Bowl. But from that all the way leading up to that game, Tarkenton was a master of avoiding the rush. I think when he retired, he owned every significant NFL record in passing category.
He did.
I think he owned every single one.
He did. Matter of fact, he's still 12th all time in total yardage, rushing and passing with 48,340.
Wow.
So he's still up there in that. But when he retired, he owned every passing record. He played 13 seasons as a Viking, 18 seasons overall, 33,000 yards as a Viking, 239 touchdown passes, rushed for 2,200 yards. Yeah, he had all the records.
Yeah, he was just a phenomenal.
9 Pro Bowlers.
I mean, he was like Dan Marino before Dan Marino.
He was, and a lot of people say that. You know, the thing about Tarkenton was he never had the big arm. He wasn't very physical out there. But, could barely see over the line. But he was the first guy of small stature to really make a superstar name for himself.
Yeah.
Drafted in 1961 in the 3rd round.
Out of Georgia.
That's correct. And, his scrambling and playmaking ability, his sandlot approach to the game, head coach Norm Van Brocklin, he didn't like it. Well, he did. He kind of put up with it to begin with because he knew his team was bad. He knew his offensive line was bad, so he kind of accepted it, but he didn't like it. So by the time 66 rolled around, 5 years into Fran being our quarterback, Van Brocklin had just about enough of him. He got traded to the Giants in 67, came back in 72 to the Vikings after really good 5 years there, made 3 Pro Bowls, passed for a league-leading 29 touchdowns, I think it was, in 1969. Matter of fact, remember the 1969 Vikings with the dominant defense?
Yes.
They played, they had 14-game regular season. I think they held the opposing team to single digits in like 8 or 9 of those games during the season. The most points they gave up,
Giants?
Opening day to Fran Tarkenton and the Giants. They lost, gave up 24 points, lost 24-23. They lost the opening game that year, and they lost the last game of the regular season, finished 12-2. But that was probably the Vikings' best defense was that season.
I think so, yeah.
Dominating, but Tarkenton found a way to get it done against his old team. When he came back in 72, Bud Grant knew I need to get this guy back. So it really took off from there. And what can you say, Ted? Memorable game after memorable game after scramble after scramble after scramble. He's the guy that put it on the map, keeping the plays alive.
I think it's fair to say that he revolutionized the position with his scrambling ability because quarterbacks didn't do that before. They were very much the traditional, and that was one of the reasons Van Brocklin didn't like him because Van Brocklin came from that school when he was playing for the Rams, a drop back guy, throw the ball in the pocket, don't run around and try and make a play. And that was Tarkenton's bread and butter.
Totally was. And Van Brocklin wasn't around much longer after he got rid of Tarkenton. That was the weird thing. He was
Tarkenton got traded, and then Van Brocklin got fired.
Right.
And then Bud Grant got hired in 67, but the trade had already happened. So that was, whatever.
The Vikings were so lucky to get Joe Cap in between that time Tarkenton left and came back, or they would have been piss poor at the quarterback position. But
because after they got rid of Cap in 71 and 72, quarterback play was terrible. And those were probably 70, 71, and 72 were probably the prime years of the Purple People Eaters. And they didn't have, had Tarkenton been there, who knows?
Tarkenton, he used to anger so many defensive players, dude. Deacon Jones. He couldn't.
No,
I'm
he
gonna
hated
cream you. I'm gonna cream you if you run back over here. I'm gonna cream you.
Or you cream a multitude of people.
Yep. And they never could. They hardly ever got to him. It was great.
Except when Gary Burley got to him.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, 1986, Fran Tarkenton.
One of the all-time greats. Now, jersey, speaking of all-time greats in jerseys, well, maybe he's not an all-time great, but he just had a great season in 2020. Again, if you guys don't know, Drew and I are doing a live draft show on Thursday, April 29th, and we are giving away a Justin Jefferson jersey. Somewhere during the show, there's going to be a secret phrase. Either I'm going to say it or Drew's going to say it. We don't know what it is. That's decided by Toonces and our producer, Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Just want to say hi to you too. And during the show, you're going to see it's going to be Tarkenton was a scrambler or whatever the phrase is. And in our YouTube comment section, all you have to write in the comment is what the secret phrase is, and you're entered. You can only enter once per episode, but you can enter over multiple episodes. And we've probably got 9 or 10 shows left, so you can enter up to 9 or 10 more times. And then on draft night, it's just going to be a simple raffle, pull a name out of a hat, and that lucky winner is going to win a Justin Jefferson jersey. Did I miss anything significant on that?
Are you doing a shot in draft night every draft pick? Isn't that what you agreed to before we did the contract for it?
No, I did not. I don't do shots, brother.
It's not easy being drunk all the time.
I don't do shots anymore. Bad things happen. I'll get in a fight with my iPhone. You looking at me funny? No, I'm kidding. I'm pretty happy drunk, but no. That's going to be a long night, man.
I love you, man. Get signed up for that Justin Jefferson jersey, folks.
I think we had, almost 20 people signed up the first week? Over the 2 episodes, people sign up or register multiple times. So get on it. But it's time to get to some Vikings news, I think. For those of you that don't know, we record on Monday, so obviously the Super Bowl is last night for us. And today, Monday morning, we heard officially that Clint Kubiak has been named the Vikings offensive coordinator. If you've seen the previous episodes, we pretty much thought that was going to be the case, especially Drew.
Nailed it.
Drew, what are your thoughts on Clint with a K Kubiak being the new offensive coordinator?
I think it's just a good hire for Zimmer more than it is anything else. I don't know. When they hired DiFilippo back in 2018, 4 days after they kicked our ass in that playoff game for the Super Bowl, he was a quarterback coach, and the Vikings hired him to be the offensive coordinator, which is exactly what's happening here. So you could say on one hand, he doesn't learn his lesson, and on the other hand, he's just going to go for it again. But I think Zimmer feels most comfortable because he already knows that he's got a guy that's not going to argue with him. He's got a guy that's just going to call the game the way he wants it to be called. And quite frankly, I don't want that. I want a guy that's going to do things his own way and open it up a little. Maybe Kubiak will do that, but I would have to lean towards no, he's just going to be a yes man.
Come on up, future yes man.
There's 2 schools of thought on this for me. There's, okay, we've got continuity and it's the same offense and that's all awesome and cool and great and whatever. But the second part of me is this what we want for continuity? Because here's the thing. They're still wanting to bring in an older offensive-minded coach. And I've heard the name Jay Gruden a couple times and all that stuff. And people say, well, look, this is continuity and this was a top 10 offense and okay, great. But a lot of that was empty calories. And when it came right down to it, how many times last year when the Vikings offense, and look, doesn't all fall on the offense, but there were 5 specific times, I was looking at this today, that the Vikings offense could have won the game at the end. And they couldn't do it. When they needed to make a drive, they only had to go 30 yards against Tennessee to get Dan Bailey in field goal range to kick a field goal to win. Couldn't do it. When they needed 1 yard on 4th and 1 against the Seahawks, couldn't do it. When they needed to make a drive against a bad Dallas team, couldn't do it. When he needed to drive to beat the Bears late in the season, couldn't do it.
So you're saying at crunch time, there's no crunch.
When they needed to finish drives against Tampa Bay and instead of settling for field goal attempts that looked like when the ball got kicked, it looked like a hurricane kicked it halfway into the freaking Gulf of Mexico, they couldn't get it done.
I'm so sorry. I failed you. You trusted me.
Is that what we want?
No. And all those times you just mentioned are the times that stick out most in my head. That's what I remember most is the missed opportunities. And, every time teams got to settle for a field goal, I always think of that. I'm kind of old school. I think of that as being a loss. I mean,
yeah. Somebody
showed me some numbers the other day. It said the Vikings actually passed 53% of the time, which was kind of shocking to me. But, if you watch the offense, it's really vanilla, Ted, to me. I mean, it's not creative at all. That's what I want. I don't know how he's supposed to. It's another I don't know moment. If, maybe, I don't know, maybe, if.
And it's fairly predictable. I mean, how many times last year were you watching second and short? They're running the ball. I don't think they passed on second and short one time last year. I think they ran on just about every second and long last year.
I think so too.
I mean, and if chuckleheads like me sitting on my couch drinking beer and eating Pringles can pretty much figure out what the offense is going to run, I would think a high-paid defensive coordinator would be able to have a better clue as to what is going to happen. And I hope the Vikings get more creative. I hope they become less predictable. We'll see.
It just feels like it's going to sit down and Zimmer's going to look at Kubiak and go, all right, this is what I want you to do. Yada, 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 yada. Yes, sir. I'll do that.
From now on, you will speak only when spoken to. And the first and last words out of your filthy sewers will be served.
I very much agree with you there. It's a young guy, probably thinks a lot like his dad, because again, Clint, son of Gary, former Vikings offensive coordinator, can't spell nepotism in Minnesota without Vikings assistant coaches. I don't know.
The last time we hired an OC that didn't have any OC experience, it lasted 14 weeks and he got fired after the game in Seattle.
Well, Stefanski had not been an OC before, and he did pretty good.
Yeah, that's true. He did do pretty good. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to play the I don't know card again with this one. One more uncertainty. And the season has been, is officially less than 24 hours old. So, or the off season is less than 24 hours. The coaching carousel we talked about, Andrew Giannacco moving from wide receivers coach to quarterback coach. That's a done deal. So it looks like the Vikings coaching staff for the most part is set. So yay, I guess. and it's going to be a lot of continuity. Give him a chance, but I mean, just based on kind of how it's feeling so far, I don't know. Not freaking Catalina wine mixer.
Freaking Catalina wine mixer, man.
It's a freaking Catalina wine mixer.
That was classic, dude.
All right. So, folks, we're going to talk about quarterback position as we start our off-season positional review and all that. Before we get there, we've got to talk about Kirk freaking Cousins.
There we go.
We should just make it a weekly segment. It's the Kirk Cousins getting traded segment here on Vikings Report.
And here we go.
What is it now? What are we doing now? We're trading him for a bunch of something else?
Well, here's the deal. So a few days ago, Darren Wolfson, affectionately known as Doogie within the local media sphere and on Twitter, was on Score North, and it was a segment called Scoop with Doogie. And this was after we, the Cousins is getting traded to San Francisco rumors blew up that we talked about last week. And then it kind of died down. Doogie said there are credible NFL people that I know who I texted with 24 hours ago that truly believe Kirk Cousins is going to end up with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, in this tweet, it was an embedded video segment as well. And in that video segment, Doogie also said, along with Kirk being traded to San Francisco, that so a lot of people thought that would mean the Vikings are going to make a run for Deshaun Watson. Well, okay, that kind of makes sense if that were to go down. But he also dropped this other bomb that said Deshaun Watson would not accept a trade to Minnesota if that were to happen. So if that were to go down, it would almost have to be through the draft. But then the very next day, because we're not done, because the Kirk Cousins carousel never stops here on Vikings Report, folks.
That's right.
The very next day, Mike Zimmer was interviewed by the NFL Network, and he said, Kirk's our guy. We have to get better on defense, and that's my job to get it fixed. So, Drew, tell me about Kirk Cousins. Is he getting traded? Is he going to be with the 49ers next year? What's the deal?
Last episode, you asked me, and I said he's going to be our starting quarterback week 1, and I still believe that. At this point, I don't want to do anything with Deshaun Watson, simply because if you watched that game yesterday, Pat Mahomes behind a suspect offensive line, even the great Patrick Mahomes was struggling. If you don't have an offensive line, the Vikings don't have an offensive line. They get Deshaun Watson here. They're going to be 7-9 with Deshaun Watson. If you want to move forward, you want to get rid of Cousins and trade him for draft capital and draft assets so we can build up something, I'm for that. I'm just not about putting ourselves in a hole, getting rid of a bunch of draft picks for a guy. I don't want to do that. Let's move Cousins, go with a rookie, bite the bullet for a year, and use all that draft capital we got in a trade with San Francisco, if we get some, to try to build up the other positions on the team.
I'm with you. Last week I said I think Cousins is going to move. With Zimmer coming out, I don't now. I went back and forth for a couple days, and the more I thought about it, the more I still believe, and I've said this before, that I think Cousins, Mike Zimmer, and Rick Spielman are just sort of tied at the hip, and their fates are intertwined. And if you're Mike Zimmer and you're Rick Spielman going into a season where you're both on the hot seat, unless you get assurances from the owner that you're not getting fired, they're not going to trade a good player. Kirk Cousins is a good player. They're not going to trade him, the most important position on the team, for draft picks and a chance to go draft an unproven rookie. They're not. I mean, if Deshaun Watson is off the table, and I wouldn't do that trade anyways, because like you said, Drew, they have too many holes they need to fill on the offensive line, on the defensive line, in the secondary. I just don't see it. I think they're going with Kirk in 2021.
Using that same thought process you just had about being uncertain of their future, the head coach and the GM kind of plays into why I don't think they're going to spend the 14th pick on a quarterback. I don't.
No.
If you're trying to save your job, you're going to draft a guy that's going to stand on the sidelines? No, if you're trying to save your job, you're going to draft somebody who's going to play week 1.
I think so too.
I'm actually thinking they're going to trade back from that pick. But quarterback-wise, there's certainly a lot of options out there. I mean, look at all the free agent quarterbacks. There's a bunch of on that list too.
So that leads us to our first positional review. This week, we're going to tackle the quarterback position. First off, we're gonna answer a question from one of our viewers.
Let's do it.
Reggie Adams, he actually has 2 questions that leads off into the segment.
What's up, Drew and Ted? Or should I say Drew, the bass ripper, and Ted, Mr. Smitty Glover. When I say OH, you say, kills me to say that. You all know I'm a Gophers fan, but it's, you're a SKOL brother from another mother. Reggie Adams Jr. here. Super Bowl Sunday. I got my boy behind the camera, Mr. Blake. He'll be coming up on your quarterback board real soon there, Drew. But my question for you is, I want you, Drew, the draft master, to touch on Mr. Sam Ehlinger coming out of Texas. I want to know what you think about him. And how comfortable are you guys moving forward with Kirk Cousins at quarterback? And who would you like to see us bring up if it's not somebody in the draft, maybe somebody through free agency? SKOL Vikings.
So 2 really good questions from Reggie, and we'll get to the Sam Ehlinger stuff in a quick second, but we're going to talk about quarterbacks on the roster. We've talked about Kirk Cousins enough. We feel he's going to be the starter. For me, I'm looking at backups. Sure. Because Sean Mannion's an unrestricted free agent. First of all, do you want to see the legend of Sean Mannion return in purple and gold?
Is Sean Mannion just on the team because Cousins never gets hurt and it doesn't matter?
I don't know.
If the backup quarterback position doesn't matter because Cousins is never going to get hurt, I mean, durability, he's like the number 1 guy in the league. So
I think so, yeah.
If he's always going to play and the backup's never going to play, why not just have a scrub like Mannion?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's a scrub. I'm not mean that in a bad way, Sean. I just mean it. You know what I mean.
Wonderful boy. Nice boy, all right. He's a good boy, I'll tell you. Now I know why tigers eat their young,
If Kirk Cousins got hurt and Sean Mannion became our quarterback, season's over, brother. It's over.
That being said, how much are you going to spend on the backup quarterback who's likely never going to play?
And that's a good point because right now the salary cap is $198 million. Adam Schefter tweeted out, I think yesterday or maybe the day before, that it looks like the salary cap is going to drop to about 180 or 181 million. Thought it could go down as low as 175, but I think people are starting to settle on that $180 million range.
What does Mannion make?
He made just over $1 million last year, which, I mean, it's good money if you could get it. $1 million, wear a baseball hat, hold a clipboard, calling some plays, do some hand signals.
Can't we find a guy for $400 or $500 that's going to stand there and do that?
$500.
I'd like to get $600 for both.
You know, I just hate to give people what they're asking, so why don't you let me give you $500?
I will accept that.
No, but I'll tell you what, if you don't want to bring the excitement that Sean Mannion brings to the arena, if you don't want to go there, and I can understand, we're getting old, we got heart conditions. I get it.
Oh, yeah. I get it too.
There are some intriguing backup free agent options.
Shoot me some.
Super Bowl champion Blaine Gabbert just won a ring with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night.
All right, Shane or Blaine, yeah.
Geno Smith and Colt McCoy are a couple other options about that same price range.
Blaine Gabbert, like the 8th overall pick?
In like 2000, he got drafted the year Ponder did. He got picked ahead of Christian Ponder.
God, Geno. My God.
I mean, the talent is just flying off the page. I get it.
Well, I got some for you too. Mike Glennon.
Oh, gee, that dude's neck is longer than me.
Napoleon Dynamite, the great Mike Glennon.
Jeez.
Can you bring me my chapstick?
No, Napoleon.
But my lips hurt real bad.
What about Matt Barkley? Christ's sake, I'd rather have Charles Barkley.
Matt Barkley. Terrible.
Andy Dalton. That seems like a guy the Vikings would pick up.
We both think Kirk Cousins is going to be back, but let's say they trade him and they decide that they want to get a quarterback in the draft. There's a couple actually intriguing names. You're talking about the $3 million range, give or take. There's Jameis Winston who signed for $1 million for the Saints.
You're talking about like if they trade Cousins like a stopgap guy.
Yeah, like a 1-year bridge guy to play this year and then bring in the rookie next year or even transition to the rookie later this year.
Proceed, Smitty.
So Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket.
The Red Rocket.
Jameis Crab Legs Winston. He played for $1 million this year, but it sounds like Drew Brees is going to retire and the Saints are going to throw a lot of money his way. So I don't know that he's.
Winston's taking over for Brees, right?
I think so. Yeah, but he is technically an unrestricted free agent. And then this is a name that makes me warm and tingly all over.
I know what you're going to say. Magic.
Ryan Fitzmagic.
Very good. All right.
Imagine getting Fitzmagic over here and we're sitting at 10-0.
Yeah, I'm speechless because I would 100% want that to happen.
I like that dude. I think that. Now, what about that game he had this year when he came in for 2-yard Tua and he like rallied the team and threw that long bomb when he got his head pulled back and totally rallied the team to victory? That guy's a winner.
Looked like the 8th Air Force over Europe in World War II, dropping bomb after bomb after bomb. It was great.
It was a great game. It was a great comeback win. I like that dude.
Yeah.
Is he not? He's done with Miami then? He's done with the Dolphins? He's a free agent then.
Unrestricted free agent. He's 38, 39, might retire. Don't retire the beard. The beard is epic. I love it. But yeah, so everybody talks about, well, what about Dak Prescott? He's an unrestricted free agent. I just don't think with the money Dak Prescott's going to be asking, the Vikings can afford him. I mean, there's just not going to have the cap room for him. So
plus, if you're bringing in a quote unquote stopgap guy, you want somebody that can teach.
Yeah.
Who's as much of a coach as he is a player.
Yep.
And that's important for teaching the next guy. And I heard that Fitz is a hell of a teacher. Not that Dak isn't, but we're not getting Dak Prescott. I don't know.
No. But he was a name that's out there, and I'm sure people are going to ask about him. But if you're going to try and get Dak Prescott, you might as well keep Kirk Cousins because that's just more money you'd have to take and dead money for Cousins, and I don't even want to get into that garbage. So
what about Joe Flacco Stein?
Joe Flacco. Elite. He's elite.
Jesus, man.
But that pretty much about does it for our rostered quarterbacks and our free agent. Now, however, I want to get into the main reason we're doing these segments, and that is the Drew Bunting draft board for 2021. And with quarterbacks, we're throwing it up on the board here. Drew has 15 names up there, as you can see, and he's got, let's see, 4 solid first-round guys, one guy that could be a first or second-round guy, and then a second and third-round guy. So, Drew, take it away. Let's talk about the top names that you have on your board to begin with.
It's really a split between two groups this year, Ted. The first 6, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, and Kyle Trask. Those are probably the first 6 clearly that are going to go. I don't see anybody sneaking up and moving in ahead of those guys.
Do you see those guys going in that order, getting drafted in the order that you have them on your 1 through 6 in your board?
This is kind of how I see them getting drafted. I know they've shuffled around a lot. The other day I saw a mock draft with Justin Fields falling to number 7 to the Lions. I don't see how that would happen. It's always been a 1-2 between him, Lawrence, and him for the first 2 spots.
Okay.
I do think Zach Wilson has a little bit of an edge on Trey Lance simply because he's closer to being ready to play. Lance only played 1 game because of the COVID. I mean, you have to go back to 2019 to look at, 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Trey Lance is a very good quarterback, but the fact that he hasn't played a couple years, that's why I gave Zach Wilson the edge over him. And I think he's a little bit more polished than he is, but
okay,
that is how I see him getting drafted. I think Mac Jones has moved up quite a bit recently, of course, with his big win at the end of the season that we're not talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And then
what big win?
So it's kind of like those 6, and then it's the following 9. Between those last 9, Ted, they could go anywhere mid-round all the way to the 7th round.
Now, let's not forget Reggie's question. He asked you specifically about Sam Ehlinger, the Texas quarterback. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, I have him just on the outskirts of the so-called elite, the top 6. He is the guy, matter of fact, one of the guys I'm going to go over a little bit later, Shane Buechele. Shane Buechele got ran out of town at Texas because of Sam Ehlinger, who became the starter at Texas. He's a total gamer. He's got a lot of confidence. He's a gunslinger type. I could see why Reggie likes it. I talked to Reggie before about it. He is the guy. He's got below arm strength, and he buys a lot of that arm strength time because he's in college and the windows are open and everybody's playing zone defense, so you can get away with it. Mm-hmm. Where Sam's really going to struggle, I think, at the next level is those windows are a lot tighter in the NFL. Plus, Texas kind of built that offense around his running ability, not just scrambling, keeping plays alive, which he's very good at, but they built plays in for him to run. They had him running 8-10 times a game in planned run plays. Okay. And he likes to run. He loves to run. He's very physical. He's like Taysom Hill type of guy. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't work out at quarterback at the next level. I could call it right now. That guy's going to play somewhere in the NFL, maybe under a different position, maybe a safety.
Really?
Because he's a great football player. He's very athletic. I just don't know if he's going to make it at the next level as a quarterback. He loves to run the football, but NFL teams aren't going to schedule runs for a quarterback on purpose.
Since you mentioned Justin Fields dropping to 7th in a mock draft that you saw, let's say a guy like Fields or Wilson or Trey Lance. I think we all agree Trevor Lawrence is probably going first to Jacksonville.
That's a done deal, Ted. It's over.
Okay. Let's just say, hypothetically, one of those guys, Fields, Wilson, or Lance, is sitting there at 10 or 11. Is one of those guys, if you're the Vikings sitting at 14 and they decide, and even if they keep Kirk Cousins, he's going to be, 32 or 33. So they've got to kind of think long-term for the position anyways. Would one of those guys be worth moving up 2 or 3 spots to go get?
I think so. But then again, we're coming from the standpoint of Zimmer, who doesn't know if he's going to be here after this season. So if you're asking me from a team standpoint, I think it would be, if they get to 11 or 12, right around there, when you really have to jump a couple spots to grab them, mm-hmm. I would probably do that. But I don't know if Zimmer and Spielman are wanting,
If I'm Rick Spielman, if I put myself in Rick Spielman's shoes, I am not making a trade to make the next guy's job easier.
That's why I don't think they're going to do it.
Because what's the point? If I now as a fan of the Vikings, yeah, I absolutely want to see that. But as a guy in that seat, employed, if I don't hit this draft, I'm getting fired. I don't care what I leave for the next guy. I want as much talent to go as far as I can so I don't get canned.
If Zach Wilson fell to 12, I'd be on the phone calling somebody because I really believe in that guy. I think he's good enough. Yeah, I think he's good. He may not be able to start right away, but if you watch him play, the guys that seem very confident and have really good pocket presence and keep their eyes downfield when the play goes to shit, that's a big thing. That's a couple of guys I'm going to have on my list here in a minute. There's playmaker ability, and then there's playmakers who actually can get it done.
And you think Zach Wilson's that guy that can get it done?
I think he is. I think he still has to be coached up a lot, but his footwork is perfect.
Let's say hypothetically in the mid rounds, you've got a bunch of names: Jamie Newman, Kellen Mond, KJ Costello, Brady White, Felipe Franks, Ian Book, and Peyton Ramsey. Talk about those guys, a couple of those guys, and are any one of those dudes a guy you think the Vikings might target or be interested in the middle to later rounds?
Out of the list you just read off, I have three of those guys that I like. And if you don't have to spend a high pick on them, I think it's worth. I mean, if you're going to take a flyer on Nate Stanley, come on. If you could take a flyer on these guys. Shane Buechele played for SMU. Like I said, he played behind Ellinger. When he found out Ellinger was going to be the quarterback at Texas, he bailed and transferred to SMU. It was actually 3 really good quarterbacks at Texas. He was never going to play there. Really good accuracy. I like how he can adjust. He doesn't have a huge arm, but his dad played third base for the Pirates. So 23 touchdowns, 6 picks, 3,100 yards, had a high completion percentage. As a mid to late round guy, I really like him. Shane Buechele. Another guy I like is KJ Costello, also a transfer. If you remember, he started with Stanford, transferred out of that program. Very calm and poised in the pocket. There's a thing I like about Costello. The problem with this guy is, dude, he makes some serious bonehead crappy decisions.
Does he really?
Oh, yeah. KJ Costello is your biggest gunslinger on this whole list of 15 by far, but he's also probably has the highest ceiling of all these guys.
Really?
Really bad bonehead decisions. But if you remember Mike Leach, remember the guy with the air raid offense with with Gardner Minshew at Washington State? When Leach went to Mississippi State to be the head coach, he called KJ Costello. He thought, this is a guy that can run my offense, which is pretty high praise. Costello came over, first game he played for Mike Leach, 623 yards passing in one game.
That was the opener against LSU, wasn't it? Where they just modeled LSU?
Yes, it was. 623 yards. He only played 6 games. He got a concussion in late October, and then with everything going on this season, with everybody opting out, he just called it a season. But you get the really good or you get the really bad with Costello. I think there's a lot to work with there if somebody can coach him up and get him to slow down on the gunslinger stuff. But
so you see him as the ultimate high risk, high reward guy out of this group?
I do, but you mentioned that LSU game. The next game he came back, he had like 3 picks in the first quarter. He just stunk it up. So there's a lot of inconsistency there, but there's something to work with. And with a name like Costello, we could do the Abbott Costello thing on the show. So I think that would be worth it if we drafted him.
Elvis Costello. Elvis has left the building. There are a litany of jokes for this guy's name.
We could do a lot with Elvis Costello. We can certainly play that forward. The last guy I got on my list is probably the biggest reach of all, but he's got a lot of skill, Ted. His name is Brady White. He plays for the University of Memphis, 41 games, pretty experienced. Number 1 quarterback in the American Conference in both completions and attempts and career touchdowns, 92 career touchdowns. Throwing another 8 on the ground gives him 100.
Okay, hold on real quick. The number 1 quarterback in the American Conference is like saying you're the number 1 eligible bachelor in the nursing home. Come on.
Casual sex between residents is actually very common in nursing homes. It's really not that big a deal.
That's the American Conference.
That's totally true.
Jeez.
I'm the number 1 quarterback in the American Conference.
I'd be the 5th-rated quarterback in the American Conference. My God.
It'd be like you and I bragging of winning a 2-on-2 basketball tournament against 4th-grade Irish girls.
That's right.
Number 1 in the American Conference. Number 1 attempts, 11,000 yards, has a good bloodline, that's good in the pocket, can see out up, like to pass. Let's go. Okay, I like Brady White. 6'3", 210, stand in the pocket. Look at these highlights I'm going to show you right here, Ted. Okay. I want you to watch them, too. Watch them very clearly. If you notice on these highlights, on both these plays, he keeps his eyes downfield under pressure.
Yeah.
That is huge at the next level. Huge, as Al Michaels would say.
And Rob Jackson, who had a huge interception.
Is that something you can teach a guy to do at the next level? If they don't do it in college, can you teach them to do it in the NFL?
No, I don't think you can. I think that's one of the things, along with accuracy. If you're not accurate in college, most windows.
Yeah, they shrink.
See, I gave you a sound effect even.
That was good.
They shrink up. In college, everybody's playing zone. You have 12 seconds to pass. That's it's easier. The it factor, we always talk about, that's big with these quarterbacks now. The Russell Wilson, the scrambling around, being able to make plays out of the pocket. And Brady White certainly didn't play at a top competition level, maybe as a Justin Fields or a Trevor Lawrence. But when you watch him play, he can get it done. He can get it. I'm really interested to track him no matter where he goes to see how he develops on an NFL team.
So why do you have him so far down then? Is it just because of the level of competition in the school he played at?
Yes. And the guys above him are pretty much, I mean, Kellen Mond. I wasn't a big Mond fan until this Reese's Senior Bowl where he really shredded. He helped himself out a lot. So we have Buechele, KJ Abbott-Costello, and Brady White are 3 of some other guys I got on this list of 15, but that's pretty much how it breaks down. We got the top 6, now we got the rest of them. We'll see if the Vikings maybe take a 5th, 6th round flyer on one of these guys, and
So you don't see Urban Meyer drafting Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence?
Not if he wants to keep his job.
Yeah, I don't think he will either. Urban Meyer's a very loyal guy to his players. I mean, he loves JT Barrett, but a lot of people don't know that when Urban Meyer left, Dwayne Haskins was his quarterback. So it was actually Ryan Day that brought Justin Fields in through the transfer portal and all that. So I'm sure Meyer is very well in tuned with his capability and what his talent is, but I think he's going to go with Trevor Lawrence.
How do you not take Trevor Lawrence just for the fact of if he turns into a Mahomes, you have to sit there and watch him and go, I could have had that dude playing for me.
So any last bit of info for our look at the quarterback position this week for the Vikings?
I think that's pretty much it. We covered the free agents, the current roster. We talked a little about the great Sean Mannion. I see the Vikings more taking a late round flyer and hoping to hit a diamond in the rough more than I do see him taking a quarterback really high. I don't know what's going to shake out. The Vikings could surprise us all and take one of these guys drops and we take them, and then who knows? But that would have to be a big surprise on my part.
After the last few days, I personally think it's just going to be Kirk Cousins. I think they're going to sign a backup like Mannion if they just don't even bring Mannion back, which I kind of lean in that they will. I'd like for them to get a more talented guy as backup, because the one thing about Kirk Cousins we can all agree on is he is a durable guy. He answers the bell every week. But if for some reason he were to get hurt, whatever chances this team had would be completely shot if you got to give the ball to Sean Mannion.
There's only 2 guys on this list, Ted, that are going to start day one, and that's Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. That's my take. Take it for what it's worth. All the rest of them are going to need time.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I can see Fields starting week 1, and Lawrence could have started last year, week 1.
You think so? Wow, that much better. That generational talent type guy.
Just got the natural ability. And he's Jeff Spicoli. I mean, would you ever doubt Jeff Spicoli?
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
Dad's got the killer set of, his dad's a TV repairman. He's got the killer set of tools. That does it for quarterbacks. We're on to running backs.
Next week, yes. Next week will be running backs.
Wait, say it like Bill Belichick.
We're on to running backs.
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 We're on to Cincinnati.
What do you think having a 37-year-old?
We're on to Cincinnati.
We've talked about that. We've talked about that. We're on to running backs.
I already answered that. So we're on to running backs.
But for right now, we're on to commercial, and then we're on to trivia. We've already talked about that.
Love commercial time. We'll be right back. This is where I get to zoom in my face.
This is Evel Knievel and the Evel Knievel shock-absorbing stunt cycle. You can make him do wheelies, backstands, even mid-air somersaults. And for that big jump, here's Evel, up and over that 4-foot ditch. Evel Knievel, sold separately or with the Evel Knievel stunt cycle from Ideal.
How do you handle a hungry man? The manhandlers.
He's working up an appetite a manhandler can handle. Looks like my boy's grown up. He's ready for Campbell's Manhandlers, like beef soup, juicy beef, and sun-ripened vegetables. A big tasting soup, a man-sized part of a man's meal.
The manhandlers.
The Manhandlers. Good.
All right, welcome to Toots' Trivia.
Hello, Toonses.
Hello, Tootses.
Hello. Today we will be playing the match game. I've polled 8 Gallahorn members who gave me awesome responses. So I want to say thank you very much to Mary Fisk, Kyle Dom, Tony Bell, Tony Janetto, Reggie Adams, Nikki Hansen, Man Bear Pig, and Ryan Johnson. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so here's how we play. I'm going to read a sentence with something missing, and you need to fill in the blank. You'll get 1 point for every answer you match with our panel of Viking fans, plus I also added my answer, so you have a potential 9 matches to make. All right, Drew, you're going to go first.
Meow, meow.
Here we go. If we didn't have Kirk Cousins as our quarterback, I wouldn't mind getting Kirk blank.
Kirk Hammett from ACD.
1 hour later.
Chung, 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 chung. You know who I'm talking about. Kirk Hammett, Metallica.
All right, Drew, you get 1 point. One person matched you.
One?
One person.
I thought there was more rockers in that bunch than that. Okay.
Now, do I get to answer the question? Or do I go to the next question?
Next question.
If you want to, for fun, that's
What do
fine.
you say?
Kirk Gibson.
That would have gotten you 2 points.
Oh, okay.
Okay, other acceptable answers would have been Kirk Gibson, Kirk Cameron, Kirk Fran, Kirk Daddy, whoever that is, Kirk Douglas, and Kirk Brothers. All right, Ted. Rick Spielman's nickname shouldn't be Slick Rick. It should be blank Rick.
Trader Rick.
That's good, dude.
That actually gets you 1 point.
Yes.
There you go, Ted.
Other acceptable answers were Ricky Rick, 7th round Rick, Frick Rick, Dipstick Rick, Quick Rick, and late round pick Rick.
So we're tied 1-1.
1-1.
All right, Drew.
Yes.
The first word that comes to my mind when I think of Randy Moss is blank.
Freak.
That gets you 2 points. Other acceptable answers would have been great or greatness, football god, talented, electric, superstar, and goat.
So 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah.
Ted, I got a question.
What?
Do you really think you have a chance against me, Mr. Cowboy?
We'll see. Ho, ho, ho. Now I've got a machine gun.
Let's do it.
Okay, Ted.
Yes.
Mike Tice coined the phrase Randy ratio. I think the phrase should have been blank ratio.
Oh, God.
Yeah, this one's kind of hard, actually.
That's what she said.
I'm going to say... I'm going to go touchdown ratio.
I'm so sorry, but nobody answered that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. We actually got 9 different answers on that one.
Wow.
The acceptable answers would have been dandy ratio, no secrets ratio, receiver ratio, useless ratio, which is my favorite, brandy ratio, regrettable ratio, the freak ratio, candy randy ratio, and ridiculous ratio.
Wow.
A lot of it's the most ratios I've ever heard read in order.
All right, Drew.
Yes.
If I could give Blair Walsh a nickname, it would be blank.
Shank. Any matches?
Wow, I'm so surprised nobody said that. No, actually, no matches.
Oh.
What about Blair Walsh Project?
Close. Blair Glitch Project was one of them. Nightmare, Dream Killer, Left Hook Walsh, Wide Left Walsh, and Lefty. All right, Ted. Stephon Diggs' famous catch in 2017 is called the Minneapolis Miracle. I think it should be called the Minneapolis blank.
Minneapolis bank shot.
I feel so bad, Ted. You got 2 really tough ones.
Yeah, these are really tough.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, 2 people said suck it, Peyton. And the others were Minneapolis Magic, Shocker, Mayhem, Marvel, Heart Attack, Revenge for the Bounty, and Ain't Pressure. So it's still 3-1. Drew, when Brad Childress was fired, the emotion I felt could be described as blank.
Orgasmic.
No freaking way. You got a match, baby!
I got a match? A lot of stuff I think of as orgasmic. That's cool.
Yeah. Nikki Hansen. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki Hansen. I got a match. Gives me 4.
Other answers were relief, euphoric, elated, happy as hell and a huge mistake that had been fixed.
I'm gonna get like some friggin' trigonometry question for this one.
Head for the win or lose. You're gonna like it.
All right.
If I could put one Vikings player in the Hall of Fame right now, it would be blank.
Jim Marshall.
Oh, I'm toast.
You're toast. That was, you matched 5 people on that one.
Yes!
I feel like Clint with a K.
This is what happens when you go up against a little thunder and a little lightning. Yeah!
You matched them all, bro.
No, actually, other answers were Ed White and Chuck Foreman. So, but Jim Marshall was.
Yeah, well done. That gives Ted 6.
Yeah, 6-4. Sorry, Drew.
I guess you do have a chance against me, Mr. Cowboy.
Ho, ho, ho.
I can't beat you in anything. Man, I got to sing this song.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Tootses.
Thank you. Thank you, Tootses. Another good job. All right. So that does it for trivia. We are down to one final segment. And this one is going to kind of warm my heart. As you'll notice, Ohio State just beat Michigan in the trivia game. And long ago, when we first started this show, we decided we were going to do playoff picks. Well, we had a friendly wager. It turns out Drew claims I won. We both picked Kansas City to win the Super Bowl. We were tied going into the Super Bowl pick, but our tiebreaker was points, and I was closer in total points than Drew was. So we ended up with the same record, but that means it is time for the loser to pay up on their bet. And we agreed that the loser would have to sing the winner's school fight song. Now, me being an Ohio State fan and Drew being a Michigan fan, this brings me great pleasure. That which brings me joy. So, Drew, if you would give us the stanza of the Buckeye Battle Cry,
I will do it. I am really into it. Practicing. Hold on. Drive on down the field, man of the scarlet and gray. I screwed it up. I got to start over. Hold on.
Ohio!
Shut up. I'm going to do it over. Drive on down the field, man of the scarlet and gray. Don't let them through the line. We've got to win this game today. Go
Ohio!
To the victory. We'll cheer you as you go. Something defend. We fight to the end for Ohio. Come to Michigan. Michigan's a better team.
Hey, cut that part. You're done. I can't hear you anymore. You're done. It's over. I can't hear anything that you're saying. Blah, blah, blah.
Shoulders high. The spirit of the Buckeye Battle Cry. That was.
Well done, Drew Bunning. Well done.
Yeah. How'd that sound?
You did it. And you did it with enthusiasms.
Enthusiasms.
Well done, Drew. And you're a gentleman and scholar for living up to paying off your debt.
My life's over, but yeah, we'll go with that.
Are you going to be excommunicated from your family for singing the Buckeye Battle Cry?
And from the Michigan family. And from Bo Schembacher, probably standing outside right now, wanting to have a word with me. March to the victory. I can't stand this fucking song. We'll defend you, yeah, for Michigan.
You did all right, man.
Thanks,
I appreciate you doing it.
Fun.
That was good.
We went all the way down to the last game on our bets, dude. 1 month. It took
I know.
I want another bet. I want to hear you sing the Michigan song next year. We'll have to rebet it all over again.
Yeah, come up with something. We'll do it.
I can't believe I just sang that. Jeffrey, can you believe that?
All right.
Can you believe that?
I think that's it, man. I think we're done. Once again, thank you, Toonces, for the great trivia. Thank you, Liz, for the phenomenal production and editing you do. It's the Fick and Catalina wine mixer thing you did was absolutely hysterical. I laughed. My sides hurt so bad. I was laughing so hard.
I watched that over and over again. That was the best part of the show.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We are over 1,000 subscribers, which I'm absolutely astounded by. So thank you for everybody that's watching. Drew, take us home.
Thank you for the trivia, Toonces. Elizabeth, thank you for piecing all this together. Thank you for everybody, for all the subscribers and everybody who's watching our show. We're going to try to do better the next time. This show's for you. It's for the people. I'll see you cats on the flip-flop. Say later, Jeffrey. Ow! Say good night, Ted.
Good night, Ted.
Wow, that really hurt.